pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. No, I'm not KB. This is Captain Glenn Bean. Welcome one. Welcome all. Welcome to Maritime Matters. Of course, it's only KB, but I KB. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bean. And of course, our wonderful, lovely producer tonight is none other than the great Mr. Kishno Jones. We are coming to you live via Love 97 FM. Like my good friend Mr. Marlon, the say Marlon Johnson, you're live! Hey, Miss Marlon. Marlon, boy, we gotta get together. We gotta get together. This is Tuesday, the 9th day of December 2025. And if it's a Tuesday, you know the deal. It's maritime tick, 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 tick. Matters. We encourage that if you're driving and tuning in with us, boy, those roads wet out there, so I know plenty cars. Man, coming here wasn't easy, but I'm here, right? Do so cautiously and ensure to take your time in getting wherever it is you are trying to get safely. As the saying goes, drive to arrive alive. Our sponsors for tonight's show, same too. One-on-one Pharmacy and of course Island Care Pharmacy up there in Freeport for all your medication needs. Check with my little cousin Tia Hill McBride and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau and there again Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. Yes! And at BMC, we provide a full slate of maritime security services. And you know what time it is right now. It's good night, Auntie May! My Auntie May, 92 years old, going strong. Yeah, she's up there in Freeport, just making it happen. Auntie May, you know I love you, baby. And I want you know you got plenty fans out there. Every time they tell me, oh, he's listening to your show. How was Auntie May? I say, yeah. You was listening to the show. That's my Auntie May up there, boy. 92 years old and still going strong. Tonight, we engage discussions surrounding numerous recent local maritime events. So we got a loaded gun for you tonight. And guess what? It's all local stuff. All stuff going on right around us. And they're all affiliated to maritime tick, 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 tick. You know the deal. We want to talk about the migrant bill, the dilemma surrounding the migrant bill. Now, you know, this bill was introduced all the way back in October. But because we have one or two little concerns, and my namesake, Mr. Lincoln Bain, he spurred all this on, and with reason. And with good reason. I get what people say, but my boy Lincoln Bain, boy, but he ain't no fool. Now, he mightn't been spot on, but he had some serious points that needed to be discussed and addressed with this migrant bill. Is this bill really necessary? Could we do without it? Well, what's the purpose of it? We need to find out what this is all about, why we wasting time with this, why it is so controversial, and what is the controversy really all about? Oh yeah, we can discuss that. In detail tonight. And of course, we want you to call in and let us know what your views are on this migrant bill that is so hot, all up in the press, all the time. And then we know that we get a lot of migrants. They talked last week about all those migrants crossing the English Channel and how France never stopped them, but now they got the rights. Once they reach the water, France used to say, boy, we can't touch them, they're in the water. Right? But now the authorities in France have the right to hold them even if they're in the water trying to leave France and say, look here, we got you locked up. And because they used to feel so free to just come on the beach in France, and once they get on that raft, boy, they straight. That ain't the case no more. And of course, Great Britain used to have their patrol boats all over the place trying to cut them off, because that's where they're trying to go to Great Britain. Why are they trying to go to Great Britain? We said last week, because they treated so nicely when they reached Britain. The same migrant bill, this is how they be treated. You can't send them back where they come from, because where they come from is in turmoil, and then we got to think about that too, right? We know that right now. Our neighbors to the southeast are in total chaos. And if somebody was to get out of there, imagine the gangs take over the Bahamas right now. You know we got gangs. Now don't play like you only know what's happening, right? The gangs take over to the extent where they overwhelming the police force, overwhelming the defense. I ain't telling you that's likely, but anything is possible. And you and I afraid to go on the streets. We're afraid to send our children to school, especially our daughters. And we decide, boy, we can make a break for it, because this place, we got to get out of here. So we want to go to the north. And we make our way to the north. And when we reach the north, they grab us, pack us up like sardine, and tell us, you all got to go back to your chaos. That ain't nothing to do with us. Go back to your chaos. We sending you back there. We ain't care how you living and how you don't live. Would that be fair to us? I guess it will, eh? But these are things we got to think about, people. Sometimes we only think tunnel vision. We look from one side. Oh, we don't want them here, man. Tell them they got problem. Let them stay in their problem. Don't come here. No, man. We got to be a little more humane in our thoughts. We got to be a little more humane in our papers, because we don't know when our time coming. And as somebody pointed out on other show, on one of the shows the other day, I heard them. They say, you know what? We just sometimes forget that we got some of our family in the north who are over there illegally. Now, some of them scared now, because you know President Trump ain't playing around. And if he was to catch up with them, they're going to be packed and sent back. But the thing is, they coming back, not to chaotic country. They coming back to a peaceful country. They ain't got to worry about whether they could walk the streets or not, or whether their children could get kidnapped. They ain't got to worry about none of that right now. But the reality is there are countries all over the world where people are fleeing because of the chaos, because they can't go sleep at night without wondering if somebody come break into their house, shoot up everybody, kidnap who they want to kidnap for ransom, and all the rest of that. And it's a real world out there, people. And it's a real country in Haiti right now. And we have to be humane. I'm not saying we're responsible for taking them in and taking care of them and doing this and doing that, but let's be careful how we handle the situation. That's all I said. Okay. Well, you know the phones can light up tonight. 326-8255. That's the number to call. So, what is this controversy all about? We'll talk about that later. Where are we headed with this bill? Well, we know that it was passed in the lower house. We call the Senate the upper house, so it passed in the lower house. And then more than likely when it passed in the lower house, what does happen? We know what time it is, man. So we can play crazy as we want. But yes, we have some concerns. And then I believe that we have people in government enough to look at the concerns we have and make some adjustments. And I think that's what they did. They made some adjustments. Is that good enough? We will see. Excuse me. So we want to talk also about, you remember this container barge, the Brooklyn Bridge? And we talked about that at length last week, eh? The Brooklyn Bridge, that's the barge that broke loose off Abaco, drifted ashore on Nanja Key, near Green Trail Key somewhere. And our friends or our family in Abaco, the Abaconians, sometimes they like to think they're in a different country. You know, they don't like to link themselves with us sometimes because they're doing good. But anyway, many Abaconians decided they could take matters into their own hands. They can go on this big barge with all these containers full of goodness, and they could take these goodness because the barge in trouble, and they don't need all these things to go by. We need to take these things off this barge. Ain't nobody on this barge to protect it. Well, that's the first thing. The first thing is we can understand it's an unmanned barge, meaning there was never nobody on that barge once that tow started. The barge don't have no running water. The barge don't have no doors. The barge don't have no toilets. That barge don't have no accommodations. All that is a platform for containers to go on and be stacked on top of one another. So if that broke away from the tugboat, which had all the people, which are all the provisions, which are all the food, which are all the fluids, which are all the gas. That tugboat don't even have gas or diesel or fuel oil on it because it don't have no machinery. And you could tell me you see a big 800 plus foot barge loaded 3 to 4 stacks high, and you could think, oh look, this come from heaven. Boy, they could say what they want to say, but I'm Abaco people, boy. But I think this one looking too good, right? Anyway, we passed that. This Brooklyn Bridge barge, we have a lot to say about that, right? Because should we consider this fine? Because the government is saying now that we're going to fine them $20,000 for sitting on our reef, or our shoal, or our bar, or our sandbank, whatever they sit on, right? Just because they sit there, we can charge them all. Now, I don't know if the government is in dialogue with this owner and we're doing a trade-off. It doesn't indicate that. But I wish that's the case. Because some serious looting went on that barge, a whole 24 hours plus went of looting. And you talk to people from Abaco, they'll tell you the amount of fridge and stove and TVs and pumps and all kind of things they take out of those containers. I don't want you to think there was no cheap stuff, eh? Those stuff, I think they was either going to St. Thomas, but they say Puerto Rico, but now here in St. Thomas and them getting involved. That's all those American territories, eh? Those people got money. Anyway, I might have digressed a little bit when it comes to this barge, right? But our government and our DEPP, is that it? Department of Protection for all this good stuff. They're saying that for sitting on our reef, we could charge you 20 grand. Because that's what our law provide for. Now, for some other little things, we could charge you too. So it's minimum 20. And the barge owner is saying, I see almost 80% of my containers were broken into and entered, which we know can't be true. I mean, anybody with common sense will know that. Because if you just look at that barge, you could see that most of those containers are stacked so tightly together and so door to door to each other that you can't open over 70% of them, even if you try, unless you lift them off. And they ain't got no spreader, no gantry crane, nothing to take those containers off one another so you could get them open. So you could fool some people some of the time. But I could tell you, Mr. Owner, I like your attitude, because you're lying on us. Abaco people do bad, but they ain't do that bad. Yeah, they take some stuff and they carry in some stuff that they voluntarily. Items are being returned on a voluntary basis because a group of reverends got together and say, man, look here, let's carry some of the stuff. Now where they can it, I don't know, because the barge ain't there no more. I don't think the owner even want nothing back with these people that had in their possession. I don't even know if he could take it back because he claiming insurance. So where we are with that, 326-8255. You call and tell me what you think. I'm looking for the call. Thank you very much. Now, another topic we got to talk about tonight. Migrants from 5 different countries were fined. I think this was last week, or was it yesterday? And deported. Well, I think they get deported yet, but they're supposed to be deported, eh? And they got 7 migrants from a combination of countries in this region. Haiti, of course, we know that. Jamaica, yeah, we can expect that. Dominica, now Dominica far. I don't know how they get here from Dominica. They must have mean Dominican Republic, but they say Dominica. Dominica is a different country, way in the eastern. I don't think people from Dominica even trying to get out of there, right? Because they cool. You remember when Dominica had the hurricane and the prime minister at the time, I think, was Hubert Minnis. And he brought a bunch of them to the Bahamas. And a lot of us was crying, oh, bringing them here and thing and this and that. And some of our people, they ain't got no place to stay. And, boy, let me tell you something. We is a bad bunch, We don't have no real sense of caring when people are in disastrous situations. And we forget we right in the middle of the hurricane belt. Anyway, it's a Dominica, but I believe that's Dominican Republic, right? Cuba, of course, And Ecuadorian? Somebody from Ecuador all the way up here? Boy, I know they ain't come by boat. Because you know where Ecuador is. They've been to Ecuador. That's far. Hey, down in South America, down there by Argentina somewhere, right? They come by plane for it. They probably came to Panama and then, I don't know. I trying to figure out how to get here. But they were all fined anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000, eh? And, of course, they could be deported. So we have the law in place to say when we find migrants and they're undocumented, because these are getting charged for overstaying and landing illegally, which means you didn't come the right way, you didn't come through the authorities to get in, you come by boat. You couldn't come through the airport and get in because we ain't gonna let you pass us. And you overstay your time in some cases when you did come in the right way. And that happens all over the world, right? All over the world, especially in the, what do we call it? The northern hemisphere. Now, you know, migration and wealth don't normally flow from north to south. The monies flow from north to south. But the drugs and the migration, all that, they coming from south to north. Because somehow, and I don't know why, but somehow, the world has been dissected in a way that the countries south of the equator, they're a little shabby. The countries north of the equator, I see all the big skyscrapers and nice highways and I mean worldwide. I ain't just talking about in the Americas or in Europe, even in Asia, even in well, you see what would happen in Africa and those places and well, okay, Australia is a big difference, eh? When you talk about the southern hemisphere with Australia, New Zealand, and Samoa and them countries down there, they good. They good. So they ain't this rump with the big Africa and South America. Because it's only them after that, I think. So anyway, again, I digress. Man, I just feel like digressing tonight. So you all gotta call and rope me in line. Call and rope me in line. 326-8255. So these 5 different countries, we caught some of the people and we find them and we're going to deport them. And that is the system, right? But let's go a little deeper in our thoughts on this, right? Can this have a significant impact on the overwhelming amount of migrants we have in country today? Now, I mean, I think it'll be a reasonable statement, without proof, to say that we got well over 100,000 migrants in this country. Because I can tell you, when I was small, the population of Bahamas was around 250,000. When I was a little boy, us in Barbados is like around 250,000, right? Now we're almost 400,000. But when I think a little deeper, most of our parents had like 4, 5, 6 children. But our era, we averaging like around 3, 4. Very few of us got 4, but around 3 would be the average, right? Some people still having 6 and 7, but some people ain't having none. So the amount of babies born in today to Bahamian mothers is far less than the amount of babies that were born when I was born. So if the population then was about 250,000, how could it be more today? And not just more, from 250,000 to almost 400,000, you almost double that. You almost double that. And you know that they're Bahamians. So we have to have well over 100,000 migrants or non-Bahamians. Some of them may become Bahamians eventually in this country, simply because the population number keep rising while the amount of Bahamian babies born and keep dropping. Stop me right with the maths. I was pretty good at maths in school. I love maths. I still love maths. But the maths ain't hard enough, eh? What my friend Shivago to say on the show, the math ain't mathin'. The math ain't mathin'. Stop me right with the maths, right? But should we, the Bahamas, should we adopt what they do in Dubai? What they do in the Cayman Islands? What they do in Bermuda? You see, about 2 weeks ago, I spent almost a week in Cayman Islands. And I learned that the Caymanis, I believe that's what they call them. Lord, I still don't know what they call the people. The Caymanians or Caymanis, right? They are outnumbered almost 3 to 1 in their own country. But guess what? While they are outnumbered, they get the full reins of control because everybody else who come there, basically coming there on permit. Even if you sneak in there, you got to get permit. Because there's a lot of jobs. They're doing very well. They got a lot of jobs, but the Caymanians don't want to. So they need a big workforce. But what they do not need, and what we do not need, and what look like where we headed and shouldn't be headed, is to take in a lot of, I call them non-natives, like people from other countries, and make them Bahamians. So, while they have a grip and control over who they give passports to, it seems like we're fluttering on that. And not only us, many countries like us. We're fluttering on that. And while people should be part of the working force and have a work permit or resident permit, these people having citizenship. And we know because we look in the papers every day and we see the big number. Now, because they're in the papers don't mean they're being approved, But the question is, are they being approved? Anybody out there from the immigration department who could tell us, are these people being denied or approved? And when I say these people, let's talk about the 50%. Are half of them being approved? Are 80% of them being approved? Are 20% of them being approved? How much are being denied? Are any of them being denied? Because they look so, it's so plentiful now, look like this is just the way to go. Because if you get this far, you're straight. I don't know. I don't work in immigration. Never work in immigration. But I know I just look at the papers. I know you just look at the papers. I know we got people who work in immigration who will know. You got one brother or sister in immigration, ask them and call me back. Ask them. If all these people we see make an application for citizenship to change their name and things like that, are these things being granted? And then you hear this thing about this Nationality Act. And I ain't no lawyer, and I ain't no legal man, and I ain't trying to be none. But some things I do understand. I do understand that our Constitution should override any act, any law. And I'm also hearing that that Nationality Act contravenes, in many places, the Constitution of the Bahamas. And is still being used today to grant citizenship to people who are quite technically shouldn't be granted citizenship by way of that act. Anyway, y'all ain't calling, I can keep talking. That means y'all want me to get off this topic. And I ain't shy. I understand. I'll get off this topic. Next topic. Is there another topic? Yeah. I got one right here. Got a couple more topics, actually. But let's go with this one first. They had an American woman coming in here on one of those big, fancy, pretty cruise ships. And they find that she had a .38 pistol in her bag. Loaded. A loaded handgun on a cruise ship. I don't know for the likes of me how with all of these security measures and procedures and this ISPS and all the rest of that, she could even get on board that ship with that pistol. And loaded too, plus extra rounds. And I say, this has to be a big deal. Because I teach security, international security on board ships and at port facilities where these ships come. And I teach the measures and procedures required and necessary to ensure that something like this does not happen. Because ships don't carry weapons. And one person getting on board a ship with a loaded handgun could take over that ship. No matter where the ship is. And this is what we do not want to be able to happen. That's like somebody going to take over a plane, eh? You think somebody can get on an airplane with a loaded gun? Well, the ship's supposed to be the same thing. Especially passenger or cruise ships. We've got thousands of people on board. My friend. What they say in the movie? Houston? We got a problem. Because obviously she wouldn't be the first. Because she says she from the state what could carry. So she always have this gun with her. And there's no doubt in my mind that she knows she bring it. I don't know how she get it on. I don't know. How do you smuggle a pistol, loaded pistol on a cruise ship, and you got to go through all those scanners and checks and all the rest of that before you get from outside of that facility to the inside. Oh, we got a caller. Caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling.
Yes, Captain Bain. This is Captain Bain.
Boy, you've been ducking me. What's going on?
Boy, look, I have to rescue you again, boy.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Before you go off the deep end.
Well, I notice your topic. When you talk about guns, getting on cruise ships, and right, talk to me, man. Talk to me. Let the people know what's happening. I need help.
Well, with respect to cruise ship and the security required, there's the port has a responsibility for firstly, that's the first layer of security. And if the detection is not made there, then the ship also have a layer of security where if the port miss it, the ship ought to capture it and the like. It's very and being a person who've done numerous cruises and whatnot, I'm not satisfied that that's an ordinary situation. It may be some information that we are not privy to or whatever the case may be, because I'm telling you, it's very difficult to get a weapon on board a ship. It's just difficult, and the code makes provision, all the bits and pieces makes provision for that, so that ought not to happen. So whether or not it's just a simple somebody wasn't doing their job or whatever, I kind of doubt it. I just believe that some information is in fact missing from the whole thing, so that we can get the true picture.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, Brother Herb, let me tell you what I'm thinking. For this woman to actually approach the gangway, but she could have lived in the cabin, you know. For her to approach the gangway with this weapon on her, or unless she might have picked it up when she got on the shore, and she was, I don't even know the details as to how they found it.
Well, like I said, some information missing. Maybe she may have been law enforcement and it just hasn't come out. I'm not sure, but something that...
Even if she's law enforcement, she can't... Well, she wouldn't have been... If she was law enforcement, for example, she would not have been fined $8,000 by our court.
Maybe that might be a part of the...
No, sir.
I don't know. I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it seems very unlikely that if you have a permit to carry in your home country, when you get on board the ship, you're going to try to go ashore and then come back with a weapon on your person or on your, that seems very, very off the wall to me. So, like I said, I think some gaps in information is there, and that's why it just doesn't seem to add up to me.
But that calls for some serious investigation of that ship security, though.
Oh, of course. That's a major security breach, and as such, the flag administration ought to address that in the most serious of ways, because that's a major security breach. And
flag administration and class, because class would have issued the international ship security certificate, eh? So they got to try and check that whoever did that audit for ISPS and all the rest of that, they got to really dig deep and find out what's gone wrong, because obviously this could happen again if they don't fix it.
Of course, and there will be, not sure which ship it is and which was the flag administration, which the flag state, but there will be an investigation that the company got to do their internal audits. Class going to have to go back on board. Flag administration will have people there doing security audits and the like. So there's a lot and lots of questions going to be asked relevant to the situation, and because it's kind of abnormal to me.
And I think she actually pleaded guilty to it. Like she put up no fuss. She just pleaded guilty, and boy, I think we go a little high now. I don't know if he's hit people that high. That's for having a pistol. Something.
We got to.
I don't think we normally do though. We have people getting catch with weapons all the time. I don't know if they find people $8,000 for one weapon.
But yeah, it's much more. It's much deeper than that. You got to also think about reputational damage that to not only the port facility, the flag, the country, and so all those things factor in. And we pay millions of dollars. I think $20+ million a year. The Ministry of Tourism spends on marketing this country, and we can't be perceived as a slack jurisdiction. So reputational damage. There's no cost that you can put on that. $8,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to what we can suffer as a country as a result of an incident like this. So putting a fine on that's going to be a major deterrent. Hey, I think it should have been a little bit more.
No, but I am of the view, and I could be wrong, but I am of the view that this thing happened at the home port when they was doing their home port operations in Florida. I don't think that happened on this. That weapon had to get on board from in the U.S.
Yeah, but
that's where the problem lies. It should not even get on board.
But the reality is, even if they have lapses in security on that side of the border, which they probably do have much more than us, right?
Well, I wouldn't
focus on that side.
No, I wouldn't expect they have more lapses. You see, the thing about it is, if you think about it, right? A person coming to the Bahamas on a cruise ship and going ashore, to get back to that ship, we don't really scan that stuff like that. We just want to see that they have an ID and that they have a ship pass, and we let them go to the ship and the ship scans them. That's how we do it. So we would not have picked up on that weapon.
No, unless you screen unless you have
but we only do that if somebody coming to join the ship. We don't screen people who just going ashore.
Oh, we used to.
We never used to.
No, listen. In times past, ships that persons returning to the ship, we had scanners set up in the port to scan the baggage, like big backpacks and luggage, people joining the ship.
Yeah, that was only for people who. That was not for people who go on the shore. That for people who joining the ship or somebody coming to visit the ship. That's different.
Some crew used to go through as well.
They had a crew
and put into big backpacks and the like, right?
No, but they had a crew come to join the ship. That's what I'm saying to you. This is only when people joining the ship or when somebody coming to visit. You can remember I set up that security out there. I used the person who set that up.
The reality.
People who go on the shore, they would be going through those northern doors for the festival play. They never used to go through that building. That was only there for a select few people who joined the ship.
I can tell you one thing: with the amount of ships that interface with the port of the cruise port every day, and the amount of people that disembark that ship to come on excursions and the like. If you don't have, you would be, it would be, it's kind of very, 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 very difficult, if not for a country like us, small country.
No, it's impossible. It's impossible
to manage,
everybody.
To manage scanning, 100% scanning of passengers returning to the ship. And I there's a lots of countries around the world. The ship, it does the any type of scanning. Most of them do check for the same.
Yeah, most countries.
They check for ID and ensuring that it matches your ship's pass and the like, or that you have the ship pass, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of consistent industry type standard, and then the ship that has the capacity to do onboard screening, so yeah, we're not. It is not outside of the norm of what we're doing. It's just a matter of why would an individual want to risk taking a hand on a shore in another jurisdiction? And I just, like I said, it seems very, very odd to me.
No, but if she does that on a normal routine basis at home, it could slip her. I'm not blaming her, you know. And I think she pleaded guilty because she realized. But she should not even be able to get that on the ship at the home port. Is what I'm saying. Because when you're loading a ship with passengers, you have to screen them accordingly. You have to have what you call well, you know, you have to have all that stuff in place because they are joining that ship. Now, once they get on that ship and they clean, they'll have to pick up something from another port to bring back on that ship. And the ship should catch it when they reach to be scanned.
It's all about the integrity. It's all about the integrity of the whole system. Everybody playing a role.
Yeah.
Make sure that the ship is intrinsically safe because there's no absolute. But I like I say, that one we need to review. That's a discussion for another day because we don't have all the information and the motivation behind that particular incident. But like I say, I reiterate again, I think that the fine, because of our reputation on the world stage and our position within the tourism space, it could have been more, and it ought to have been more to act as a deterrent, so that persons, when you realize you come to the Bahamas, you go and you check your bag and to make sure that you're in line with the gun laws of this country.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't. I'm just kind of, you know, because I don't think the act was really committed in this country. If things were done properly, she couldn't even get this far. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, for sure.
And then we are a tourist-oriented destination that we ain't trying to lash nothing out on people that should be dealt with before it reaches us.
No, and we think that we are accommodating country, too accommodating in many respects, but it is what it is. But I want to go back, Cap, to a previous topic on these migrants.
I was carrying you anyhow.
I wanted to chime in on this whole migrant situation and how we as a country managing that process. You mentioned about seeing all the names in the newspaper on a daily basis, but you know, to be honest, the migrants are outwitting us left, right, and center. In my opinion, right? They you know, in days gone by, and you know, in recent years, the manner in which they seek to remain here has changed, in my opinion, right? You know, the whole concept of the sloop with 300 to 500 migrants loaded on board and sailing to Nassau, that kind of concept seems to me to has changed somewhat, because what I'm advised is that they come on the plane, and they come on the plane every week. They get their normal permit to come and visit, but they just do not return. And then very often when they do not return, a few months later or years later, you see the names in the newspaper John Paul wanted to change his name by D. Paul, and once he changed his name by D. Paul, he then applies for passport and everything else that goes along with having access to our identities and whatnot. He gets driver's license through the back door, and then he becomes integrated into he gets employment. You know, we always talk about going after the employees. He gets employment. He gets national insurance card and the like, and now you now just added to the 100,000 that's already here. Now you have another couple thousand on top of that, year after year, and
so you
one would argue. Let me just finish this point. The point is, you know, you'd argue that, well, you know, why are these people? Why are we issuing work permits and whatnot? If you look at the government's projected revenue, and you look at revenue collected through work permits and the like, every year these things go up and up and up. These amounts go up and up and up because they intend they collect more revenue.
We actually brag. About it.
And it's a problem.
But we actually brag about it. Like, we're so proud of that.
Yeah, it's a problem. This is something that's very sophisticated now. It's not as the manner in which they operate has changed, and they outwritten us left, right, and center.
But I'm not sure it's them. I'm not sure it's them.
Seemingly, hands are tied behind our back. We cannot see it. We have a big blindfold on our faces, and it's happening right before our very eyes. And you know what? Our children, and our children gonna have to deal with this problem, because I think we just too jelly back to address the situation.
No, but I'm not sure they are outwitting us per se. I just think that we just have so much schemes, so much corruption schemes that these people pay to get with it. They need to be witty. They just have that money.
Well, you have to be witty to know that
you don't have to
these people out there, they have their people in all the government agencies who are looking out for their interests. So at the end of the day, it's like planting a seed. Eventually, the seed have to catch root. It's got to grow, and it's like when I think about China and their 50-year plan and 100-year plan. That's the kind of plan they plan. So this seed was planted. These seeds have been planted many years ago. It's just catching root now and it's growing. And now they have the people in the police force, in the defense force, in the Department of Immigration, and everywhere you could think.
And money making, because if you look at if you look over the years, if you look over the past decades, right, and you look at the homes of the senior officers in some of these areas, and you be like, boy, if they only making so much, well, how they can afford a ranch like that?
Oh yeah.
So you have to wonder if anybody really cares.
The reality is people only care, Bahamians in particular, and I could talk about my people, they only care when it impacts our immediate household.
Well,
our immediate household is unimpacted, then we don't care what's going on around us. The city can be burning down because you can't get Bahamians to agree and to rally around no issue and participate in no movement of change. Nothing. If it doesn't impact our families, then forget it. If we're making money, the whole everybody else could be starving, but we're making money, so we good. That's the reality. That's the selfishness of our people.
Yeah, but not
anybody.
We pay some people. We put some people there that we pay in big bucks to take care of our affairs. We got people in certain positions in these government entities that we rely on to protect us and our children and grandchildren. And then these are the people who selling us out. So if they selling us out, what can we do as a people other than protest? Other than yeah, but we don't want protests because when they call protests, ain't nobody with them.
A lot of these people, they are mixed and they have allegiance to others, and And so when you think that Toronto is
Call I say on the line.
so,
I can lay a hold when you finish this point because I got another call on the line.
no, go to the call, but I'll call back. I'll call back, but we have a problem, and whether we like it or not, we have to face it and we got to address it. Don't leave it for our kids and our grandkids to have to address.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the time.
All right, my brother, anytime.
Oh.
Call you on Maritime Matters. My apology for holding.
Good night, Mr. Bain.
Good
How
night.
are you?
Top shape and getting better all the time, my friend. How are you?
That's good. This is my first time calling, but I like how you conduct your show because you seem like you're not afraid to tackle the truth, and that is how slack and corrupt this country is.
I ain't never scared, my brother. Thank you so much.
And the thing about it is, like, I call him the Christian Jones show in the daytime, right? And seems like he get angry when I tell him, I believe if we take a poll in this country, there are more Haitians in this country than Bahamians. But, you know, like I say, he look like he gets angry and then he cut me off sometime, you know. But this country is so slack. And then, just like the gentleman was saying just now, see, they don't have to come on the boat no more. Flights coming in from Haiti 2 or 3 times a week full.
That's right.
And, you know, they never go back. And look at, we never used to have all these Haitians on national insurance. You go on national insurance now, Bahamians can't get in. Immigration, the same thing. They got all the jobs in the food stores, parking boy, but they're parking all women now. The gas station, the fast food restaurants, you name it, fish fry, and also, let me touch on also the taxi and transportation industry.
Yeah.
Haitians got that taken over now. This government, I don't know how stupid they could be. You should never give Haitians any franchise. How could you give Haitians taxi franchises?
Well, a lot of people, they don't really care who you are if your money right, you know. And this country has a big problem. I mean, these people working every day on jobs. I mean, big jobs even come from places like Atlanta's got contractors who have them coming in there, and no immigration officers go on these jobs to check to make sure these people are properly documented, right? They know our people know where they are, you know.
And of course they know who they are. Even like when you work in on the taxi stand by Atlantis in the night, right? All you see coming in to clean in the nighttime are Haitians. Everywhere you go, only Haitians all over the place. And like I say, when like you say, every other day they in the newspaper, and most likely they are being granted permits and stuff like that. You know like checking, you know, and like I say, this government ain't really checking. There's a lot of stuff going on in the media about this and that, and they ain't addressing nothing.
Yeah, we just sitting back and allowing it, because I know there were many times when and I go back to Mr. Lincoln Bean again, and I'm a big fan of his, but I must say that there were times when he was calling a lot of protests, and the people, we can't get 1% of the people to come out and protest against some of these serious stuff. So our people are not really interested in protecting themselves.
No. And you know, okay, even like take for instance when Lincoln Bean used to be going in the back of these bush where these people cutting all the trees and stuff and burning coals and stuff, they go running and stuff like that. The lady, or they won't run away for a couple months and come back Haitians living on her property. And I mean the police there with Lincoln Bean, they like petting at the Haitians trying to get the city, they get the people off the land.
Well,
the woman showing where she have her papers and everything, and nothing is being done.
I'm not sure the approach is to go where they are in the shanty towns and whatnot, you know. The approach, well, the Ministry of Works.
We're talking about the place in Bonefish Pond.
Yeah, I remember the Bahamian lady who her place was almost, her place was taken over in a lot of instances by migrants. But what I'm saying is, these people taking over these places and stuff because they could work. If you know if you as an employer, right, and you employ 10 migrants and they don't have papers, and you know you got to pay $3,500 for each one of them every time you get catch, you could continue to hire them. You see that the law provide for us to lock up the people who hiring them, but you know anybody who ever get locked up for hiring a migrant?
Or they could get locked up if whenever they approach to be locked up, they tip off the authorities, and then they get a slap on this or no slap at all.
Well, if we
So
get
that's
if
what's going on in the country.
well, now we know what our problem really is. If you can't get if the authorities are not going to carry out the laws that are on the book to help us from these situations, then we finish, and that's where we are now because they're not doing it.
That's what I'm saying. And, you know, like I say, you know, it's a lot of things with these Asian states in this country. And, you know, there ain't no backlash. Look at that time when the Asian burned the Bahamian flag and stuff like that. You ever hear anything else from that?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna blame. I'm not gonna blame. See, again, I can't blame them if they're getting away with these foolishness.
But that's what I'm saying.
Our law and order needs to, at some point, kick in, and our authorities needs to understand what's on the books. We should at least try to carry them out. Well, this new law they can on in Parliament right now. Well, okay, this really is about getting after the person who organizing the smuggling and all that, right? Based on what I see, but
Right.
you getting? I mean, we already have over 100,000 people here. What you worrying about them couple who trying to get in for? We gotta find a way to make it difficult for the set who here to be able to be comfortable going to work. And they can find their own way. We wouldn't even have to expatriate them. They can find their own way out if they can't work. If they can't send money home.
We need to adopt those in Cuba. Like they have their laws and they carry out their laws.
Well, most countries is carry out their laws. It's just that we just, like, you know, we got a lot of corruption going on, where people trying to make money off these migrants, and they making money off these migrants. We got a lot of authorities who they want to put their foot down, but the people over them stopping them from putting their foot down. So we just mix up, man. We mix up.
Okay, Mr. Dale, I'm going to close on this right here. I describe the Bahamas in 2 words: slack and corrupt. And you have a good night.
Thank you very much for calling, my friend. I couldn't have said it any better. Wow, what a call. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we at in this country. We could sugarcoat it as much as we like, or we could call it what it is. And as a people, we don't want to get together and protest. We can row, we can cry, we can shout, we can say, oh, what are we as a people, what are you doing? When last you went to protest that was organized? You didn't even have, which protest you went to try and uphold the integrity of our country? Because we can't cry all the time and take a do-nothing approach and figure, oh, the government need to fix that. And no, the government working for us. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to move to a break. You are listening to Maritime Matters. And on this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters is brought to you every week, every Tuesday at 17:05 or 5:05 p.m. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain, and of course, I'm joined by the great Mr. Kishno Jones. He's the man on the steel, making things happen as we move along. We will be back in a short moment.
At One-on-One Pharmacy. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection. At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the...
And we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. I'm your host, Captain Glenn Bain. Boy, we down to half an hour. Less than half an hour, 25 minutes. We need more time. Anybody can lend us some time? My producer say no. Okay, so we got we got to wrap this up. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're discussing quite a few topics. We're talking about, of course, the controversial migrant bill, and the bill itself is not controversial. You know, we just need some more clarity on this bill. We need to know, first of all, is it necessary? Because we got laws, immigration laws, where we could deal with migrants now. So my understanding and what I've seen and what I've read and what I've been hearing about this migrant bill, is this really to go after the guy who organizing the stuff, the one who, and I think this word smugglers or smuggling is a bad word, because we have situations, and we heard it on many shows, right, where people are paying to be provided transportation to get from place to place, or to get from some place into the Bahamas. So they're not being smuggled. They're being evasive, and they're waking their way into the country. Then, as pointed out a little while ago by my good friend Captain Brain, we got some who family have money, or they have money, or whatever the case may be, and they coming over and playing, and they checking through like the regular tourists. But they ain't getting back. Now you got to find out, because they already got 100,000 here. So see if I'm mixing with the people here, you ain't going nobody else. And then eventually they work in and all the rest of that. And then they make an application for citizenship. I even think they want to be resident, they want to be citizen. And with the right amount of money and the right connection, see, we got some bad people working in our government departments and whatnot, who only want money. And they will find a way to get you what you want if you have the right amount of money. They don't care who you is. They're selling us out. And so the people come in, don't go out, and then get straight. Now my problem is, I don't have no big problem or big issue with people who are trying to escape peril and turmoil and chaotic situations where their life could be taken away from them overnight just because they go and sleep and didn't know the person was coming. You know, we got some really serious threatening situations going on in Haiti. And let's call it what it is. Those gangs, they ain't nothing to play with, right? And if somebody could escape there, and they try and escape, and they got to pay money to escape, and they make their way to the Bahamas or to Jamaica or to Cuba or wherever. But most of them obviously coming to the Bahamas. And I had a show many years ago, but 2 years ago, and I say, why aren't they going to Cuba? Why aren't they going to Jamaica? Cuba and Jamaica is far closer than Nassau to Haiti. But they come into Nassau, they come into Abaco. Because when they go to Cuba or they go to Jamaica, they will not be able to find jobs where they can work and get the amount of money they make when they come to the Bahamas. As a matter of fact, they're liable to get locked up if they try to work without a permit. But no, they could come to the Bahamas and they could blend in and let's roll on, because our authorities are not putting any pressure on the people who are hiring them. Our authorities, while they may go into Shantytown and do a raid, while they may go on the road and try to stop them from getting to the workplace, they don't actually go in the workplace while the people working and hold everybody hostage and the owners. And that's where we need to be. We need to be in a place where we go into these workplaces and we are prepared to hold the owners and managers who are hiring these people and making them pay that $3,500 per person and giving them 1 day in Foxhall prison. And you will see the dominoes tumble. Because even if people out there are trying to help these people to stay here, these people ain't want to stay here no more because they can't find no job. The man ain't gonna hire you if he think he's gonna have to pay this money, or if he might have to go to jail for 2 years or 2 days. Who want to be faced with that? So if there's no fear for the man or the woman who's hiring you or hiring the illegal, the undocumented worker, then how are we going to stop this? You see, in countries like Dubai and like Cayman and all the rest of that, first of all, you're not going to be no citizen in their country. They know you coming and they want you there. They need you there. But you ain't coming to be no citizen. Second of all, if you're undocumented, the employer even ain't gonna hire you. Not only that, they have that level of discipline in that country, which we don't have. But they're not going to take a risk for you. Because the authorities are not only going to lock you up, they're going to lock them up too. And that's why they come to the Bahamas, people. Because our authorities only going halfway. We're not going to the level, call us, see you, I'll beat you in 1 second. We're not going to the level where we are putting pressure on those that are hiring the migrants who are undocumented. Calling you on line 1. Hello, welcome to Maritime Matters.
Captain Brain, this is Captain Brain.
Yes, Captain Brain.
I honestly thought I was on a comedy show just now, what you said about the people who are in authority and not going after the people who are hiring and the like. I was laughing to myself because this goes way beyond the migrant situation. This is an endemic problem in our country when it comes to holding people that come for anything.
Yeah, but why if we have it in the Immigration Act that if you hire somebody that is undocumented, you fine $3,500 and or 2 years in prison? Why nobody, not one person I know that they ever did that to?
Well, Cap, listen to me. You are the caller who called earlier, right? And talk about places like, for example, and I'm not calling out no entity in particular, but for a place like Atlantis, for example. Mm-hmm. A place like Atlantis or Bahamas, they have some jobs that Bahamians are too, we have a very lazy population. They're too lazy to work. They don't want certain jobs are beneath them. Even though they don't have nothing, a lot of them don't have nothing in their heads, but certain jobs are beneath them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then when you have those jobs and the only people you could find, and I could tell you from experience, a lot of companies scrambling trying to find people to fulfill various roles, but it's just very, very difficult.
Well, you even got some security companies using undocumented people illegally.
Right, but check this out. After you will have gone, or you are the Department of Immigration, they go and do their raid or whatever the case may be, and you find Atlantis $1 million or a couple $100,000 for an offense or whatever the case may be. Because we're so reliant on different mega resorts and we're so we partner with so many special interests in this country. All of these is a phone call or two to be made, and everything, all the fanfare, after all the fanfare is over, everything that was done, the intent of what they intended to do to deter and whatnot falls away, because the vicious cycle starts all over again, because nothing changes. We have in this country a failure to address any issue. We have these smaller Japanese cars every day running in and out of the traffic, having causing accidents. We have some SD cards I don't know, but there's probably thousands of SD plates. People driving and like they crazy. There's no deterrent for this criminal behavior.
Have you ever seen
so many small problems that impact much more Bahamians in general that we are not prepared to address? And yet when it comes to these issues, the larger issues like immigration, we seemingly think that there's a magic bullet that you could fire to cause these things to be fixed.
Yeah, but when the fella run the light and do stupidness in his car, that's not gonna impact on my grandchildren to the extent that that the migrants coming in to take their job is gonna impact on them.
It will take their life because right now we still have.
I'm not saying that.
All the talks that we've had, after all the talks that we've had about the unified bus system, we still have the bus drivers driving like maniacs every single day.
But they don't have no risk doing that. If they know that an unmarked police car every now and then is be on different stuff, you think they can do that?
Taste the soup.
The police are not prepared to do that.
When did we get there?
No, the police.
And no indictment to my police colleagues, but it appears as though the traffic police officers in the mornings and whatnot, they are non-existent. But we see them every Saturday escorting the funerals and the like. We bought all these motorcycles just to do funeral escorts.
But that's where they make their money, Herbie. You expect the fella to focus on things, but he ain't making no extra money from?
We used to have, in times past, we had a road traffic department where the road traffic officers used to go and man the bus stops, and they were issuing citations and the like. But all of those things...
They had no police association. They had a police association yet where they could make money on the side.
Right, so...
You got to understand that police association is taking over a lot of private jobs. And their focus is on, they know they're getting a salary, but they're focusing on their salary. How much extra money I could make by doing association work.
Of course, and we've had incidences, and I think every police officer could attest. We've had incidences where persons call in sick just to go do association work. They know that their government amount going to be here no matter what.
They make more money with association.
35 sick days a year, whatever. They take them. And then they do association work and the like and beef up the income, and so we know that to be a fact. But have we addressed that? No.
Yeah, but I remember one situation. The people come through my roof in my office and they break in my office. Right? I called the police. They came. They dust. And when they were leaving, the female police officer came to me and said, "Mr. Bain, we could do this report and all the rest of that, but this could do one or two things. It could sit on the desk, so I can move this for you. But we can talk. I say, what you mean we can talk? I have to pay extra for her to take care of the situation. What is her job? Otherwise, they could sit there and catch dust and be on a pile with a bunch of other stuff. They're only moving what they're being paid on the side to move. You don't think that's disgusting?
Yeah, who gave me that job?
No, the MP even didn't get them that job. That's how they operating. They're only moving when they're making extra money.
You know, I gotta support my police, because at the end of the day,
that's all we got.
I shudder to think what we would do without the police. But you know, my thing is we have to re-examine, and I think we need to call it what it is. We have to re-examine ourselves, because this is a culture, a very, very nasty culture that we have, where we only cry out when our tail is left exposed, and everything else.
You can't only get on the police now. You know, you know where we come from. You know, a little bit of slackness going on there either.
Oh, everywhere. It's everywhere. It's a culture. You know, you practice long enough, the habit turns in the culture. That's the culture.
And is that culture being passed on to our kids?
You need to, it's like you gotta uproot that tree.
Is that culture being passed on to our children in our houses? Do we make sure our kids are disciplined?
Of course. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. And so, in order, I think we have to, I think we have to hold ourselves to account, and then we have to hold our representatives to account, and stop swallowing, stop accepting everything. We're Bahamians. We need to become more involved with what's going on in this country. If you look at every other country around the world, in order to create change, you have people gotta feel empowered. They gotta become empowered to rise and to make some changes and to cause things to change. But we don't have that in us, and we don't want to have it, because we just comfortable within our circumstances and allow things to happen around us, you know. And so that's something we have to actually teach, and we got to teach Bahamian pride and what it means to be Bahamian, and it starts at a very young age in schools, because we've lost our Bahamian identity.
Well, you got to have teachers who are prepared to want to do that with the kids, to institute that, to inculcate that, cause the children to adopt. When I was in primary school, I had a Canadian teacher teaching us the importance of tourism, how to cross the street properly, how to have manners for elders and respect for. This was a Canadian teacher.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of things. We have a lot of things to do, and you can't even find a male teacher to go into school. And I think, really and truly, I want to throw this out. So what do you think about this? I think, you know, both the Defense Force and police have officers that retire at a pretty young age, and maybe during the last 2 years prior to their retirement, we send them we invite persons to do a specially designed teaching course, and get some of these male and female disciplined people into the school system to help out, because the school system, the female teachers and the system as it stands today, in my opinion, they're having a hell of a time trying to not only get across their curriculum and the like, but they're trying to teach these boys how to teaching them discipline and how to be, you know, of course a woman can't teach a boy to be a man, but we need to get some people into the system, and probably that might be a way to do it, particularly in light of the fact that, you know, you have these persons who came from paramilitary backgrounds or whatever, who may be able to offer assistance. But so I just what do you think about that?
No, but the reality is, where are you going to find males in our society that has a bachelor's degree? First of all, and if a male in this society has a bachelor's degree, he can go anywhere else and make far more money than he can make from teaching.
Right, and that's understood. And that's part of it. That is why I say let's target the last 2 years. In the Defense Force, they go to normally 25 years, and then you can get year-to-year extension for the next 5 years, up to a maximum of 30 years, I think. And then the police force, I'm not sure how far they go. But during the last 5 years, if you could get 5 years from John Doe, who was a chief petty officer, that's a big help to the overall, to the system. And so I know that there is a big disparity between what a male with a BA could make in another discipline other than teaching, and that is why I say, hey, if they get a BDS salary or police officer salary anyhow, right, and we can get them in the system for the last 5 years and until they retire.
But what are they?
5 years of the impact they can have within that school system.
Yeah, but what role are they going to play? Because they're not going to be qualified as a teacher. They're not going to be qualified to teach.
I said we have to decide what courses they're going to teach, and they have aptitude. You could specifically design a program to get them in the system and design what courses they allowed to teach.
You could probably use the ones who do technical areas. They could teach technical stuff, but they're not going to get that
technical. Let's start with physical education. Let's start with senior masters. Let's start with the low-hanging fruits.
You need a degree in physical education.
Maths and the sciences if you don't have people so inclined.
We can only teach like mechanical engineering. Well, we can teach something.
You're trying to tell me now, Cap, you can't go in a school. You cannot go in a school and teach. If someone gives you an English curriculum or history curriculum, you can't follow that curriculum and teach that.
No, the requirement, first of all, is to have a bachelor's degree. Whether you can
teach it, different
story.
I'm proposing something that's novel. I'm proposing something that...
Yeah, but they have gotten away from that. That's what it used to be. Now they've gotten away from that, where they have standards that you have to meet criteria in order to be a teacher.
And the reality is,
they may not...
The reality is, we have people in there who could teach. If we know the pandemic has taught us that in order to, when all else fail, if you don't have a trade, my brother, you're in trouble. And during the pandemic, everybody who had a trade was making money, right? And so, if we have people in these organizations, so we can just start them off with teaching trades, a plumber, a carpenter, a mason, a radio technician. We have people who are capable to right now. If you look at BTBI, we got the people teach. The most of the instructors there were from BDF in times past. I don't know how much we have now. Then if you look at the School of Culinary Arts at UB, most of the senior instructors there, BDF, right? And so there's so much we can teach. I think there's an opportunity if we think outside the box.
I mean, you're saying the same thing in a sense. All I am saying is there are some areas like engineering, perhaps, and navigation, perhaps. In those areas, they should be able to qualify to be able to teach. And that will put males in the system.
And like you always say, when a BDF officer or police officer or whoever else who are serving, when they come out, they should be equipped with something to cause them to be able to matriculate into society and offer and survive and offer something back, man.
Absolutely, that falls right in line with them being certified to do what they're doing in the force. So that when that time come and they could move on with that certification and they can teach in that area.
Taste the soup.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that is where we need to go. But disciplines, we can't fully rely on the schools. We need programs in our communities too, especially sporting programs. You know how much discipline sports does teach.
Oh, of course. And you know something? If you look at places, countries around the world, a lot of countries have realized that something that plays an important role in not only the discipline in their social well-being and how persons are socialized and how they're able to deal with anger and whatnot. Because if you have a basketball court in a community, persons in that community gonna start playing basketball every day. They're gonna get to know each other. They're gonna have some fisticuffs in some instances, or whatever. They're gonna learn to take their blows and come back, and they're gonna continue to play ball. And it don't have to be basketball. It can be soccer. It can be whatever. But we need to put these infrastructure within the various communities to keep the communities tight-knit, keep the people together, so that they could get to know who are and learn to live together.
See,
that's what it's all about.
But these are things that the MPs are tasked with but fail to do. You see, a lot of people say, oh, the MP ain't got no say. Yes, the MP got plenty to say, because he have a whole constituency. He could organize sporting programs for certain age groups.
Plus he gets
right?
monthly stipend.
Well, I ain't worried about that part, because he could even galvanize the business entities in his area to assist with financing these things. It just needs to be organized.
Of course, of course.
You see, Freedom Farm and what Tilly and Greg them was able to do for so many people in this country just by starting up a baseball program. And JBLN, well, those things started from just an idea to say, let's get our kids involved and play a little bit of baseball. Let's use this farm and have one. And next thing you know, they had 2 fields, then they had 3 fields. Now they could have tournaments. They had all kind of tournaments at these places. But we got people in the major leagues as a result of those seeds.
Of course, and then just don't forget the Betty Kelly Jennings swimming stadium.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of things that can be done, but it's like nobody's checking.
Yeah, because we have been giving them a free pass every single year, every 5 years, every opportunity we give them a free pass, and we find a way to genuflect when they pass and whatnot. We need to cause these things. We need to say, hey, we need to get this done. And more importantly, we need to say, how can I assist? Because you can't just rely on that guy. He's trying to please everybody anyhow. But we have to volunteer. We have to come out, get from behind our fancy gates and behind the doors of our homes. Get out in the community, get to know your neighbors, and assist with developing your community. Even if it's only a crime watch, but participate, right? And that, I think, is the key to developing strong communities and hopefully even, to a wider degree, a strong country.
Well, with that, my brother, you had the last say. You take us into our final minute. Thank you so much for your valuable input. And we'll continue to push drive those things with Maritime Matters as best we can. And hopefully it will land on some. I had some things I wanted to say tonight that I'll talk about next week. A lot of young people that I saw really morphed into to citizens with certification and stats as a result of just having a little talk with them when they were young, and more of us need to talk with these young people to give them some guidance, give them some insight, because they don't know, and then they end up just going astray.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So with
that's the work to do, my brother. Let's keep on keeping on, keep it the faith. Thank you very much for another very insightful show. And I hope that more Bahamians could get involved, more people call in, and let's drive this conversation and then eventually drive action on the ground so that we can make meaningful change.
Thank you so much, my friend. We'll keep in touch, and you take care.
Ciao, ciao.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to conclusion on our show tonight. You were listening to Maritime Matters. And as you know, on this show, we talk maritime. We air 17:05, that's 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday. The primary purpose of our show, of course, is to sensitize Bahamians of the opportunities in the maritime sector and to cover current maritime issues. You can reach us via YouTube. This show and all of our previous shows will be uploaded to our YouTube page sometime later on tonight, and that would be Maritime Matters Bahamas. With that, I thank my wonderful producer, Mr. Kishno Jones. I thank all of you, our lovely listeners, and I I say good night to my good old Auntie May, I thank my sponsors. Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. Lord, that's my company and I remember. You see what these shows do here? You just can't remember certain things. And of course, my little cousin, Shantia Hill McBride, has a lovely one-on-one pharmacy and Island Care Pharmacy up there in Freeport. With that, I say to you as always, Maritime Matters, tick, 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 tick. Out.
Look like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. This 2,000 miles I roam just to make this drop my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll. Sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time.
Off the CD player, to the console, into the transmitter, out of the tower, through your speakers, to your ears. Nothing but hits.